Hello. So in this episode, we are going to implement the gem named public activity. This gem lets us have total surveillance of everything that happens inside our application. So imagine we're going to have a separate database table inside our application where we're going to keep track of everything that happened to our posts, to our users, or to whatever we have. All the create, update, and destroy actions that happen inside our applications can be tracked by public activity. And we can have an activity feed where we will see who did what inside our application and not miss anything. So here's the gem. And here is an example feed. So we can see who created the post, who removed, who edited the post, and so on. And we can have this not only for our posts, but for users and for any models inside the application. So let's implement the gem and see how it works. Now we see it is again a wildly popular gem, really used by a lot of repositories. So let's install it and try to see it in action. I'm going to add this gem to our gem file. Okay, and now we are going to run bundle, and next we are going to run a migration Rails generate public activity migration. Now again I run bundle and run Rails generate public activity migration. Okay, let's have a look at this migration. I'm opening DB, migrate, create activities, and what do we have here? So you have a new table named activities, and it has trackable. Well, they're going to track either a post or a user or whatever. So it's going to be polymorphic, meaning these are going to be two attributes. It's going to be either user or post, and it's going to be the ID of the user or post. Then they're going to have an owner. This can, for example, be the user that did this activity. So it can be usually the current user will be saved here. Then they're going to have the key. It will be something like post.update or user.create. Then parameters, it can be anything that you can want to add on your own. So let's try to see it in action. I will run Rails DB migrate. And next, we're going to need to add these two lines inside our model. So we're going to go to our app, models, post.rb, and we will add include public activity model and tracked. And now we can actually see if it is working. I will start the Rails console, and I'm going to check if we have any activities. Now, how can I check if we have any activities? If I just try activity dot count, we get nothing because we have no constant as activity. So we need to kind of initialize the activities and have a way to view the activities. Now to do this, we are going to run public activity dot count. Okay, and now we have 0 activities. So now we're going to create a new post. I will say post.create title with an activity. So we have created a post, and let's count the public activities. You see, we have one activity. Let's say we want to have a look at this activity. I'll say public activity dot lost, and we see, so the trackable type is post, the ID is 13, we don't have any owner assigned, the key is post dot create, and we have the time when the post was created. So it was saved inside the activities database table. And that's basically the basic usage of public activity. Now let's actually have a place where we are going to display all the activities inside our application. So let's maybe create a new view for this, or it can be just inside our home view. So I'm going to go to the controllers, to application controller, no, actually to dashboard controller, yeah, and say public activity, and we're going to say add activities equals public activity dot activity dot order. We will order them by the creation date, created at descending. Okay, and let's display these activities. So I'm going to go to views, to our dashboard, and inside index, I'll try to display the activities. I will say at activities dot each do activity. And I'll try to display something from the activity. I will say equals activity dot, what do we have here? Dot trackable. Okay, let's see if this works. So here we have, well, the trackable is the post. That's why we have the name, the title of the post. Let's just display some additional information. Let's see when the activity has been created. So activity.created at. Then we're going to have some additional information. What else would we want to have? So it can actually be a link to the trackable. So link to activity trackable in the title and activity trackable in the description. And you see it now, it is a link to the post. Now, why do we have it as a link in to the post? We didn't define that we want to have the post title. It is because here in post, I defined that toString would be title. If I remove this toString, then you see we just have the post object because the application doesn't know that we want to get the post title. So let's actually remove the toString from here and say a trackable.title. And now we declare that we want to see the post title if this is a post. But what if we don't want to have activities only for posts? What if we want to have activities for users too? Well, we would also include this public activity into our user model. Let's do this. I'm going to just include public activity into our user model. And let's actually destroy the current user. I will cancel the account. And now log in as another user. Okay, I will sign up. And you see we get this error. So undefined method title for user. Well, because the user doesn't have a title. So if the activity is the post, then if the trackable is the post, then we want to have the title. And if the trackable is not the post, but the user, we would want to have maybe the user email address. So we would basically say if activity.trackable type is post. Let's see if this works. And if the activity trackable type is the post, then we have this link. And let's also add some kind of row, some kind of break. And if the type is not post, but user, we would have a link to the user's email. Or actually, we don't have a user path at all. So we don't need any link if it is the user path. Anyway, let's have a look now. So we already have 3 different activities. Some are for post, some are for user. Let's just declare that we have, let's just declare what kind of activities these are. Let's say activity.key. And here we see user create, user destroy, and post create. Now they are not in the best order. Let's order them by ascending. So looks fine. And let's just go back to the styling and say that we want to see the key before we see what kind of activity it was. So we have the time, we see what has happened, post create, user destroy, and in the cases of post, we're also going to display the title of the post. Looks good. Now, what if we try to update the current user? I will go and update my password. So I'm going to input a new password and update. And we see the user update has also been saved. And what if we don't want to save the user update? Also, let's go and change the order. Have we done it? Now it is ascending. Should it be descending maybe? Let's see. Yeah, descending looks better. So the new activities are on top. Yeah, so what if we don't want to save when a user has been updated? Well, we can save only particular activities in trackable if we want. So going to our user RB, we can say tracked, and we would say that we want to track only, create, and destroy. So now we are not going to track when a user updated his password or updated his account in general. Let's try once again. So now we have just one user update. Okay, it gives us an error. So a syntax error. So there shouldn't be a comma here. Okay, I will go and update my account once again. And you see no additional activity has been saved. And also, what if we want to see which specific user updated or created a post? Now I go to posts, I go to create a new post, and a new activity has been saved. Here's the new activity, but we didn't save any owner for it. So let's try to find the owner, activity.owner. And well, there is no owner. So let's assign the current user as the owner of this activity. How do we do it? Well, we would need to add 2 lines to our application controller and to our post.rb. If we go to the wiki of this public activity, we can see quite a few useful options. If we find user, yeah, let's set the activity owner. So we would include public activity store controller inside our application controller, and it would let us kind of get the current user information inside our model for the public activity. So let's go to our application controller, and I'm going to add include public activity store controller. And now I'm going to add this tracked owner inside our post.rb. So we'll have not just tracked, but we are also going to assign the owner. And by this line, we are just saying that we are going to save the current user as the owner of this activity. Let's try once again. So I'm going to, let's say, edit the same post, update. I go to home, and we see that the post has been edited and the user has been saved as the owner. Now we can also have a link to the user's account. So let's say link to activity owner, and undefined method user path. Oh yeah, of course, we don't have a defined user. So let's say just activity owner dot email. And some of the activities don't have an owner and don't have an email. So we will say activity owner, and if we have an owner and the owner has an email, then we're going to display the email. So looks quite good. Okay, and what if we want to track the owner for the user? So here we're going to also assign the owner. We would say owner will be itself. Now, with this public activity, we need to write not just self, but itself in this case. So let's say, delete my account. I'll cancel my account. And I'm going to create a new account. Okay, and going here, we see we have user destroy and user create, and we have the email of the user that has been created, saved. Where is it saved? Yeah, it is saved as the owner. So looks good. This way we can actually save the record itself as the owner of this activity, but not the user. So not always the user, the current user has to be an owner of a specific activity. And what if we want to, let's say, run something in our console now? So let's say Rails console, and I will say post.create title with activity 2. Okay, and here we get a rollback. It doesn't work. Undefined method current user. Why doesn't it work? Because here, when creating this activity for the post, we try to find the current user, and we don't have a current user. So we would like to disable public activity when we are running seeds or when we are working in the console. So we would say something like public activity dot enabled equals false. And now we can run this command and it works. and it is not saved in public activity. Now, this way we can disable public activity, then enabled through enable public activity, totally globally around our application, but we can also do it on a lower level. So we can do it just for a class like post.public activity .off or post public activity .on. So looks quite fine. And what if we want to get all the activities for a specific post, for example? So what if we go to our posts index and we want to see how many activities and get some information about all the activities for a specific post? So the easiest way and the most beautiful one would be to have a relationship. We would add a relationship. So we would say that a post has many activities as trackable, because we're going to see the activities where this post is trackable. Then the class name will be public activity like this, class name. Okay. And actually, if just in case you want to destroy all activities associated with the post when a post is deleted, you can also add dependent destroy right here. So let's see if it works. I will try to list how many activities each of the posts has by just getting post.activities.count. So going into our posts index, I will add an activities column. And I would say post.activities.count. And we see how many activities are associated with the specific post. And we can get their IDs. So block ID. So like this, we can access the associated public activities to the specific post. So looks quite nice. Okay. And one more thing that we can do is run and add some public activities that are totally custom, that are associated not just with create, destroy, or update. So we can say something like post.has been updated or post.status updated or whatever. So let's try adding a custom activity, and we would do it somewhere in our post controller. So let's imagine that when we have update, we are going to create a custom activity. So let's, if post has been updated, add a custom activity. For this, we would say add post.create activity. Then we would say the activity name, it would be so like title updated or whatever. And we can actually add some kind of parameters. So parameters, and inside the parameters, we would say something like, well, we can add anything. We can say time.zone.now. Let's see if this works. So I'm going to update a post. Okay. Syntax error. Let's say time zone. Okay, yeah, so we have to have a key and a value in these parameters. And let's try to update some kind of post. So I'm going to go to edit, add some content. Post was successfully updated. I go home, and here we see two activities have been created. So one has the key title updated, and the other one has just the key update. And we've also saved parameters. So let's add these parameters into our view. We would say activity.parameters. So here you see for the other activities, we don't have any parameters, but here we've decided to save the time zone. So looks good. Let's go back and actually disable this post update so that we have only this post.title updated activity when we run the update action. To do this, we would go back to our post controller, and here we would say post dot this public activity off. Then we would run update, and then again we would say post dot public activity on. Let's see if it works. I will go and edit the post once again. You see, just two activities were added at the same time. We don't need that. I update the post, and you see the post update activity doesn't work anymore. It is overridden. We disabled it, and instead we ran this activity post.title updated. Now again, you don't have to do it here. You can just disable it inside our post.rb, the same way we did it inside our user.rb. We said that we don't want to track anything except create and destroy, and here we can also say track only create and destroy. So that's basically it. You see, we can have a database table with all the activities. When going to our posts, we can get all the activities for a specific post. We can get all activities that were done by a specific user, and looks nice. Yeah, and that's basically it. So thanks for being with me, and have fun implementing this feature in your next application.